Hello everyone, this is Fat Cat with GameTalk. Today we're going to be doing more Horror Huntdown, where we look for a good horror game that's not Outlast or Amnesia. Today on the chopping block, we're going to be dissecting Song of Horror, made by Spanish developer Protocol Games. Let me start by saying this game is amazing. I highly recommend it, straight up. So for those of you who don't want to watch the video and just want to straight to the point, there, you happy? So anyone else who wants the more in-depth review, just stick around. Alright, let's start by going ahead and doing a quick review, the TLDR version of the story. The game follows Daniel Neuer. He's supposed to be a publisher's assistant or something like that, but basically for all intents and purposes, he's an investigative journalist trying to get the scoop on what the heck happened. After he hears the Song of Horror that makes anyone who hears it go batshit crazy until they decide to try and kill themselves to stop that evil madness. So basically, once you hear the spoopy song, you start seeing all kinds of strange apparitions that are worse than death, as told by anyone who apparently starts to document their madness, because, you know, that's what happens to everyone who starts experiencing the madness. They have to start documenting it. I don't know, it's just in the game. You see a lot of people who apparently start documenting their madness. Anyway, Daniel goes on his adventure and, finds other people who started suffering from the same thing as him, trying to figure out how to beat the madness before he goes and kills himself or something similar. And thus, your wacky hijinks begin. But what makes this game really shine, the true elements of surprise and horror that makes this game the shining gem of a horror game that it is, has to do with the atmosphere. Atmosphere is everything in a horror game, and this game nails it! From your first moment playing through Chapter 1, you choose your character and you just feel a sense of tension and ambiance that makes you feel like something's going to happen. There's a darkness, there's an eerie sound, there is scariness in the air, like this is not a good place to be. The enemy, which is dubbed the Presence, feels like it is watching you, ready to strike at any given moment. That is the true shining gem of this game. It's not something that can easily be done well in a game. I mentioned before in my review of The Beast Inside that some games rely heavily on jump scares. And the best part about this game is it doesn't do that. It still has them. There are still moments where you jump in your seat because, wow, that game hit you with something that you weren't expecting. But truth be told, this game's atmosphere is unlike any game I have played in a long time. And it was made by a ragtag group of developers who were so passionate about a game because they started this on Kickstarter and failed to meet their goal. That is true dedication. They decided to put the time, hours, and effort into this game regardless. They released it one chapter at a time on Steam, where now we are lucky enough to pick up the whole complete edition. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The game's real shining elements, though, have one massive flaw, and that's they get overshadowed by the complexity of the puzzles. Now, I'll be the first to admit it, I'm a bit of an idiot and a complete smooth brain, so, you know what, perhaps it's user error. But at the same time, looking at some of the guides I've seen as well as other reviews, I think that it's a common complaint that these puzzles were a bit over the top. If this game was meant to be a brain teaser game and just a puzzle game, I think they would have accomplished an amazing game in its own right. But the fact of the matter is that these puzzles were so crazy complex, and you are constantly being attacked by the Presence while doing them, it took away from the game. It was a negatively impacted thing. Imagine sitting there, where normally you have this crazy intense moment where you're afraid that the Presence is going to attack you, but then you become immune to it because instead you get so angry that all you're doing is running around trying to find an item or figure out how to do a puzzle that it's no longer scary, but it just becomes, oh great, when are they going to attack again? Oh, now I beat the dang minigame. Can't wait to do that all over again in about 5 seconds when I get attacked again while looking for the stupid item I need to complete the puzzle. And that's basically how a lot of the playthroughs seem to go for me. I'm gonna go ahead and, throw myself under the bus here a little bit, but it took me over 20 hours to complete the game. Now, I'm gonna admit that a few hours were probably spent AFK because I streamed it on Twitch and there was also a few times where I had to walk away from the keyboard, but even then, I don't think it should have taken me nearly that long. Even if we were generous and said that 4 hours were spent interacting between chat and just being AFK, I mean, this game would have still taken me at least 17 hours. And I feel like that's way too long for a game that has more snippets of story at the beginning and end of the game, and the whole center is more or less just puzzles. So this is my gift to you. If you stuck around and watched the whole video and didn't just dip out when you got the recommendation at the beginning, I say this game is worth supporting. If you can see this game and experience what I experienced, the level of terror, then you will know that Protocol Games is a development studio that I want to see what they can do with some love and support. This game was more or less built off of passion and drive. It is really hard to make a game, especially a game of this quality, without this level of passion. But like, they did it without a real budget either. And that's something that makes it a real testament of hard work and dedication. But definitely and absolutely use a guide if you're going to play this game, because the puzzles, man, the puzzles are way too ridiculous. And I definitely think that if there's a way to look up a spoiler-free guide, I recommend it 110%, because it's just ridiculous. Like, it is hardcore ridiculous. Like, it's so bad that the developers themselves even put in a small guide for the 5th chapter on how to do one of the first puzzles, because it's that bad. But anyway, I digress. That's going to cut it for this video, this episode of the Horror Huntdown. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did you play this game? And were you like, hey, no, you're an idiot, the puzzles are fine, and if you weren't a moron, this game would have been easy for you too? Or did you play it and you thought the puzzles were also just as BS as I did? Feel free to start a war about it in the comments below, or just leave a recommendation for any diamond in the rough horror games that you think I should play next. As always, this is Fat Cat from GameTalk. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.